Hello and welcome to Mama Says. I'm your host, Amber Autry, and this week I talked to comedian Emily Schaefer and her mom, Kelly. It's such a good conversation because these two women are so easy to talk to. Kelly gives some great advice. She works in finance, so it's advice that we could probably all use. She also talks about working in the corporate world in the 90s when businesses were all like, we're family friendly. But the way she describes it, it's like, were they? It's really interesting. Emily also talks about how she got into comedy and how her mom found out she got into comedy. It's such a good conversation, and as always, there's a lot of laughs and good advice. So, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you have been enjoying Mama Says, please like, subscribe, share, and call your mom. Thanks for listening, and enjoy this episode of Mama Says.
Hi, this is Amber. My mom,
Hi,
Kelly.
Amber.
Hi, Kelly. Thanks for doing this.
Welcome.
So, where are you guys at right now?
We're in Willowbrook in our basement.
Yeah, we're in my mom's basement. My dad's upstairs with the dogs. So
Announcer voice, like he could have been a radio guy, I think.
yeah, so he would definitely. We're trying to make sure he doesn't
He's
get in the
super loud.
background.
Is he like likes to be on camera type person?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty much the center of attention kind of guy.
Yeah, he would find his way into this
Yeah,
podcast.
He actually said, "Why you and not me?" Well, I mean, maybe they'll do a dad and comedian one. I don't know.
Did he really say that?
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
That is so funny because a lot of dads do that. Like I've had a lot of I've had a lot of moms be like, "Oh, my husband wants to be in this."
No way. Oh my God.
We compete, right?
You do with dad?
I think most parents do kind of compete for their
That
kids.
sounds healthy.
Well, you got to be a parent to get it, I guess. I don't know.
I have a cat.
Really? Does the cat love someone else? Show love to someone
Yeah,
else? a little
Jillian,
bit
my
more?
roommate.
And you don't feel a little threatened by that?
No, I don't.
No.
Sometimes, but no.
That's funny.
Kelly, so I've heard parents say like, it's a different love when you have kids, but can you explain more about like balancing between like when they show their dad love and like what it feels like?
Yes. I would say as a mother, I can't speak for him, but as a mom, you're a mom before the baby's even born, right? You're giving up things. You're putting that baby first. Maybe you're not drinking. You're not. I didn't drink. I didn't drink or smoke when I was pregnant with you. I ate.
But with Abby and Allison?
I ate whatever I wanted. But actually, my mom tells a story. Her mother was a big drinker and smoker. My mom was born in 41. And my mom's a pretty smart person. And she said, I don't know how high my IQ would have been if she hadn't smoked. Like, think about that, right? So yeah, I think like a mom, and especially with the first child, I remember going to parties with my husband and it hadn't really kicked in with him yet that we're having this baby. But for me, I felt all this responsibility, you want him to be healthy. What if I eat deli meat and she's born with 2 fingers, like that's not me.
Yeah.
Feel that pressure. So then you have the baby. And of course, you're nursing and everything's all about you and the baby. And my husband at that time, it was very traditional. I was home with Emily, didn't give him a choice. I just said, yeah, I'm not going back
to work.
Yeah. I mean, I feel now I look at that, I was like, that was pretty harsh. I didn't even ask her.
You had a baby. You were.
Yeah, but that put a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah.
We didn't have like a team discussion about it. I said, he's like, oh, let's start looking for places to put Emily during the day when you're back at work. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I gave birth to her. I nurtured her. I'm not letting some stranger raise her, but we had that luxury. Not everybody has that luxury, but we were going to make that work. So anyway, for her to turn these adoring eyes on her father and say the word dada first was like a knife to my heart. Yeah, it turns out that's easier for kids to go da 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 da
Okay.
da than mom.
The ma
Oh
is hard.
yeah.
It does take more lip action to go. "Meh,"
Well,
versus
I don't know.
da.
All I know, and yes, you were a daddy's girl. You were.
I was.
Yeah, you were.
Wow. So where were you working when Emily was born? Where did you decide to not go back to?
Oh, I was working. It's kind of funny. I was working at Baxter International as I'm an accountant and finance person. So I was in their new ventures finance group at that time. And that's when Baxter was touting itself as this family
Oh, yeah.
oriented, we support working women kind of thing. It was not like job share days or virtual work at all. That wasn't anything they were touting. And I was put in a focus group at Baxter, and here I am, like 7 months pregnant, obviously pregnant, wearing my ugly work clothes and with the sash tied behind the back,
That's cute.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. And pantyhose, because that was a
Ew.
requirement.
Ew. She goes,
So nice to women there. They really,
Yeah, they were so nice to us.
yeah.
But I will say it was a bit of an awakening for me. And they were just deciding, oh, should we have an on-campus nursery, right? And I
yeah.
thought, oh, I guess I could shove my kid in the car, drive all the way 45 minutes up to Gurney, and then put her in some nursery on
Yeah.
site there. And then it'd be like Emily's going to work with me every day.
yeah.
That didn't sound real comfortable.
Yeah.
And it was expensive, like they weren't doing that for free. So you had to
What?
yeah,
That's
you had
so
to balance like what you were making versus what daycare was going to count. And in a way it was a wash. And I know a lot of women did it. And I do look back on that decision because I gave up 10 years of my career, and getting back in 10 years later was tricky, but it worked out.
Yeah, you're fine.
So anyway, I'm in this focus group and they've got like 26-year-old guy, those 26-year-old unmarried men really didn't like that a working mom would get some benefits. For example, if you had to work late, a working mom was going to be allowed to leave because most nurseries at 6 o'clock, if you don't pick that kid up, they're going to DCFS. The doors are shut. They're not there to hang around while you get your act together and go back. So these guys are like, well, why should I have to do all the overtime? And I thought, well, yeah, I kind of get his point of view.
Yeah,
just
like,
because
I got a kid, bye.
well, like my kid's more important than your life. You just want to get to a bar by 6 o'clock. That's on you. Why am I making that assumption? Maybe this is somebody who volunteers. Maybe they're taking care of a grandparent. I mean, I kind of saw their point of view. I kind of saw where that wasn't completely fair.
That makes sense.
But again, that was 1995 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That's when I was born. Don't you remember?
But here's the deal. So I had been to that focus group. I was kind of percolating in my mind. What am I going to do? Looking at what other women were doing that worked there. Many had nannies, au pairs. We thought about that, hiring from overseas. I'm like, again, you'd be spending more money than I was making.
And you want to take care of me.
And I did. I'm a
you are a control freak.
If somebody's going to screw her up, it's me.
Good work. You did great.
It's going to be on my terms.
Were they so that's so crazy to me, first of all, that you had to pay for the service. They're like, we'll take care of you. You just have to pay for it. That's insane.
Those were early days. I mean, prior to then, that was considered. They got an award for being family friendly.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that was early days
for
corporations trying to, pre-tech days where you got everything from the company, like a Google. It wasn't a Google. It was Baxter International. Let me tell you who ran that country.
I'm like, I don't know what that is.
ex military.
Oh, it's ex-military.
I knew I was never going to be CFO of that group.
Yeah.
Because I didn't go to the right school and I was not ex-military.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, God bless. Yeah.
Well, a woman wasn't, being a woman wasn't going to keep me back though.
It was the military thing.
It was the military.
So did it take some adjusting? Like, when you got home, were you like, oh no, what have I done? I missed my career.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I missed about it. I this is probably from the way I was raised, obviously, right? my mom, again, born in 41, really smart, but told all along, you can be a mom or a nurse or a teacher. That's it. Why do you need to go to college? You just need to be a mom, a nurse, or a teacher. And she knew she was smarter than like most men she came across. So when I was about 10, that's when she hit her stride with feminism, like big reader, big talker about it, a lot of friends that were, burning the bras, doing all that.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, many of her friends were on their first divorce and they didn't have any money because nobody had a credit card in their name. You got married, it was basically everything was joint, but most of it was under your husband's name. So she raised us. She didn't really care too much if we had a career, although she did want us to have careers because she felt like she'd fought for that freedom for us. So, she probably would have been disappointed if we hadn't tried a career. When I told her I was getting married, she said, why? But what she did teach me by sharing these stories with me, and she never censored anything I read. I'm absolutely anti-censorship. I mean, let your kid read anything.
That's
I could
awesome.
anything I wanted to and discuss it with her or whatever. She's a huge reader. And she said, always have a credit card in your name and some assets in your name. So I've taught the kids that.
Didn't she call it a fuck you fund?
My dad called it a fuck you fund.
If you got to pick up and go.
You need some.
You can say fuck you and leave.
There's men who need fuck you money.
That's true.
Their women do all the work because they just like, give me my allowance, honey.
Yeah.
But she hated getting an allowance. She said, I never felt like the money was entirely mine. I felt like dad was working and I hated saying, honey, I'd like to buy a new purse. Can I have some money? So, I mean, I didn't like when I quit working that I wasn't contributing money. Now I was contributing and I was, an intangible.
Intangible. I'm right here, baby.
My work was intangible.
Oh, I see where you're at.
And it really weird. Oh, okay. What's really weird about it is when we would have our discussions, my husband and I would, he'd say like, why are you spending $13 on a CD? I'd be like, what's $13? Why are you questioning that? But he, from his point of view, that was all on him. Like, I've got to pay all the bills. I have to do this. I have to provide the insurance. You're at home getting to spend time with our kids playing. And, he's a great dad. Like he loved that.
Probably eavesdropping right now. I heard the footsteps.
No, but that. I mean, he loved coaching. He loved volunteering in the classroom.
He was like a PTA dad.
He loved stuff. He loved it. And he felt kind of denied sometimes. And I felt like I wasn't valued because I placed money on that value, right?
Yeah.
So when I went back to work, I literally worked 2 hours a week, made $40.
You felt so much better.
I felt like, wow, somebody values me for a talent other than raising children.
Yeah. That's so interesting because like everybody in our society puts major value on money. Like,
yeah,
especially Emily, like in our career, like, balancing doing a show and not getting paid, but seeing the other benefits, like,
like, drink tickets versus like $5. What am I gonna get tonight?
Right.
I say that to Emily.
What?
Are you a
paid comedian?
Are you a paid comedian?
And I always say sometimes.
But that's my finance and accounting background, right? Everything's a balance sheet to me.
We get paid in joy. It's
enjoy.
I would do it for free, but don't tell anybody that.
I think you like the applause and the feedback.
Yep.
I mean, duh.
Like I like getting that $40.
Yeah.
Did you ever have to like have a conversation with your husband about like that, or did you just go back to work and you're like, okay, I feel better now?
Oh, about going back to work? Oh no, he was all for me working. Quote unquote, I married a CFO. What happened to her? I said I'm now a general of the 3 daughters in our home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? I guess like one time, 2 things happened that that really kind of struck home with me. One was when I was part-time working, we had enough money where I could have contributed to Social Security, my Social Security, or I could have contributed to a 401k somewhere, like just an account not related to a work savings. The government doesn't let you do that. I mean, if you're not employed,
Yeah.
you don't get to save money in a 401k.
So you were like, oh, I'm not making my own retirement.
Right. And then we get, I don't know if you girls do this, maybe you don't. You're not in your 50s, but you go online and pull a Social Security Medicare report and
I did not know
see
that.
like how much you would make if you retired at 65, 67.
Oh no.
$2.
Yeah, no, it's worse, you guys. It's worse. There's a point system. So after
What?
being out of work 10 years, I looked at mine because my husband pulled mine and he pulled his, and I was like, I haven't made any points. Where are my points?
Oh my God.
What?
And then it made me mad because I said I was a stay-at-home parent contributing to society by caring for children and making sure they learned and become contributing adults. There should be value placed on that.
Oh, definitely. There's so many
Yes.
stay-at-home moms and like stay-at-home parents and like dads and stuff and like anybody. Yeah.
I mean, they're doing a service for the country, raising.
Yeah.
My neighbor used to say, "We're raising citizens here."
Yeah.
Are raising citizens. You're teaching them morals and values and how to live in society. And you do this, you don't do this, and we wanted them to find their dream and their skill and try to maximize it. That was always the purpose.
Right.
But yeah,
That's
the purpose
crazy.
is to kick them out of the nest so they can start contributing and living their own life.
And
So-
earning their own points and giving
Yeah.
money to the government. So that-
No, I mean, I just don't think it's a great system.
Yeah.
It's got to be a better way. I don't know what the way is, but that was something I absolutely felt. Oh yeah. And then my husband, when you work for corporation, maybe you've had to do this, you pick if you want the life insurance, right?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
So that's a benefit. So we always picked it for him. And then I'd say, what about that spousal one? Don't you want one for me? Oh, I don't need one for you. I go, what do you mean? Well, it wouldn't cost that much to hire somebody
To take care of the kids.
do what you're
What?
I was like,
Let's go beat them up after this.
but from a financial standpoint, it made a lot of sense. Like, why
Oh my
take
God.
money out that's like
For
people,
someone that's not giving.
no, but people make that calculation with like car insurance and
Oh
high
my
deductibles and stuff
God.
like that. You'd rather have the cash working for you. But that really kind of made me feel undervalued.
Oh yeah, that would make me feel undervalued. You literally got $0 on your head. Oh God.
But now I'm very
Wow.
valuable. See how it all
Yeah,
swung?
now you're valuable.
I'm the one with the job now.
Yeah, he
I'm
doesn't.
the one with the insurance now. There
Oh,
you
is
go.
it flip-flops now?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely, most definitely.
Very fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. This point system, I don't even know what that is. I'm scared to even dive into that.
And I'm afraid to look at mine.
I know it'll all change,
Yeah. Who knows?
It's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be, historically, the whole Social Security and Medicare thing was because of the Depression. So it was all designed because people weren't saving money, and the government decided, well, we're going to help you save money.
Wow.
So this is going to go into an account for you. But of course, it's not like, hey, I put in 50,000. That's all I'm going to get back.
That's all.
Right, that's not how it
Just
works.
50,000.
It's a Ponzi scheme. It's like you guys are supposed to be contributing so that I'll be getting it, and my
Yeah.
parents are spending
Wow.
what I've been putting in, and then you've got people like my parents who really don't need the Social Security,
Yeah.
right? They did well enough where they saved enough for themselves
Yeah.
through hard work or whatever, but they're like, it's embarrassing to take the Social Security
We don't need it.
because
other
we don't
people
need it.
do.
Other people need it more.
Yeah.
Why are you? And they make you take it. It's not like you have a choice.
That's so dumb.
You just have to take it. And then they get taxed on it because they've got
What?
money elsewhere.
It's so stupid. It's just like,
Yeah, so it's not like it worked out, or you look at like people who it's not a balance, obviously.
yeah.
Yeah. So are you still working in finance?
I am. I'm hanging on with my fingers.
With your claws.
I am. I what I did when I went back to work was more of an independent consultant job.
Okay.
Which also you get screwed by the government.
Awesome.
There's a theme.
Well, because
There's a theme. We love a theme.
you've heard of 1099 worker, if you're a 1099 worker.
Oh,
maybe
because you
you've
were a
done that.
1099 contractor, right?
So what you had to do is pay both parts. So I had to pay my half of the taxes and what an employer would pay because I was self-employed. So I was paying 40% taxes. It used to just drive me nuts if I heard a politician say, people need to pay their fair share. I'm like, gee, out of $1, I'm keeping 60 cents. Isn't that my fair share?
Yeah.
So the minute you become an employee, and I had to work like 30 hours for the person that I was doing the independent contracting work for, the minute I became an employee, she started paying half.
That's awesome.
It's like a mini raise right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, accounting. She does lots of, like, as you can see, she knows a lot of taxes and money.
Well, I know what's what today. That could all change. Yeah.
That's great though. Like, Emily, are you and your sisters really good with money because of?
They worry about it.
We do worry about it. I feel
all
like
three of them worry about
I
it.
feel like she taught us to be very aware of
Conservative.
very conservative with our money and like being aware of how we're spending it. I think we all spend it in dumb ways differently. Like,
But then here's the problem though. I've seen with my second born. She loves nice things and I don't have a problem with that. And she'll spend on something that I would never spend money on.
Yeah, like as soon as she gets the money, she's like, I got to spend it on this little thing.
But it's like the person who likes to eat a lot of ice cream. The guilt she feels after she spends it ruins the joy she had for buying it. And I feel so badly for her.
Because you taught us that.
We taught her that.
You're like, don't spend money ever.
Like she's taking a trip with friends to Nashville and it's
You're in Nashville, right?
The trip is ruined for her because she's like, oh my gosh, I had to pay for the plane ticket. I had to pay for the Airbnb. And mom, the things they want to do down there, it's going to be like, I go, what, 100 a day? No, like 200 a day. I'm like, well, you need to put your foot down. This is a group of friends. Just like maybe you could budget and balance, if you feel you can't afford that, don't pay it.
Yeah.
But also you work hard so you can enjoy a trip with your friends, especially after COVID.
Yeah.
Please do that. Don't be crying because you're spending the money and you feel guilt. So yeah, there's a double-edged sword.
Definitely, I think that's parenting. Is there's always a double-edged sword. Like you're trying to teach your kids, like be conservative with your money, and then your kids are like, I can't spend a cent, otherwise I'm a bad person.
Parent, so I have to say,
well, everybody has different things. I mean, like different double-edged swords.
I think for me, to get to know me better and how that impacts how you parent somebody, is when I was a little girl. My parents were like 20 when they had me, and okay, it's not a joke, but quite frankly, had abortion been legal,
you're like, would I be here? I don't know.
They wouldn't have been married. But anyway,
good to know.
I almost had a t-shirt. I mean, this would have been a bad t-shirt.
A t-shirt.
I should have. I would have been an abortion or something. There's a lot of us out there.
I would buy that t-shirt. I'm sure my mom was like, yeah, you
And they thought about it. I'm sure they thought about it. When I think of my parents' values and how much they value education, they were both like sophomore year. Come on.
Yeah.
I was born in student housing. My mom had to quit school. Come on.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think I would have been. But they started with nothing is my point. And I have memories of being like 6. And we had the one car. We'd drive my dad to work, and my mom still didn't have her education. So it was a one income family, right? And my mom would say, we have to drive to your dad's office and pick up his paycheck and then drive it to the bank or all of the checks I wrote yesterday are going to bounce.
Oh my God.
I mean, that's what I remember. So it must have been such a big issue, right? That for me, the idea of not having like a huge cushion is terrifying.
Yeah.
So I probably pass that on a lot to the kids.
Didn't your I think when I saw my grandpa and my grandma like a few months ago, they were saying how you have to pay to take your kid out of the hospital. And I guess grandpa went to a loan
Yeah,
shark.
he got a loan.
He went to a loan shark loan to get $200
Yeah,
to take her out of the
He
hospital.
had to pay the doctor who did the birth.
Yeah, he had to pay him. So they went to a loan shark so they could
What?
get her out of the hospital. Yeah.
Probably cost all of $50.
Yeah, back then.
It was
yeah.
1962. That was big money for.
Yeah.
That's what would they have done if you couldn't pay? Just kept the baby? Like that doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. What do they do?
I'm sure my parents would have begged their parents for money.
Yeah. But do they keep the? I guess they probably give you like huge debt or
It
something.
would have been a big bill or something.
Yeah. Crazy.
I don't know.
Just have them in the house. Don't go to the doctor. Just have your baby in your bathtub.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, hey, all of my dad's siblings were born in their house.
Oh yeah, true.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. That's
So you were talking about like you grew up, Kelly, with like your mom being open about everything, and that you were that way with your girls.
Mm-hmm.
Emily, do you remember like times when, or both of you, when you would come to your mom about something and she'd be like, oh, okay, we're doing this?
Oh, I don't know. I have to really think about that. Do you have any?
I have a couple.
What are yours?
Oh no, you look like, she's making a face that I'm like, what is she gonna say? I have no clue.
Well, I think maybe Emily's a little more secretive.
Okay.
What?
So I'll tell you one, two little instances.
Oh God,
so
I'm nervous.
The first instance is my husband had pulmonary embolism and he ended up in the hospital, and it was pretty traumatic for all of us. The younger two kids are crying, carrying on, sleeping in bed with me while he's in the hospital. And I said to Emily, gosh, Emily, you haven't cried. Or you really talked to me about how you're feeling. And she said, well, I thought you needed me to be strong.
Oh, I don't remember that. That's probably trauma. That's why I don't remember that.
And I said, well, I don't want you to hide your feelings. I mean, if you're feeling them, you should be feeling them. Don't walk around thinking you need to feel a way for me. You're the kid. I'm the adult here.
I think that's probably because
the other two were probably crazy.
Yeah.
Didn't want to be crazy too.
Amber, are you like the oldest? Do you have siblings at all?
I'm the youngest. I have an older sister.
Okay, because I feel like in a lot of like all the books and TV shows, the older sibling is like, I'm the responsible one that has to keep things together. And so I feel like I was probably like, I'm the responsible one. I got to chin up, whatever.
I will say what happens, Amber, when a child doesn't, I have to like decide what's going on with Emily sometimes. I don't really know what's going on with her, and I just kind of make up my own reasons.
Yeah, that's not good.
But you don't have an open back and forth. I know, but if both people aren't open, you're just never going to know. Another case was, it's like, you heard about the onion and it unravels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have this one opinion of your kid, and then you see another side, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that was going on.
Sounded bad.
Oh, wow.
No.
I'm going to dig into this one. And then they hide back in there, So one time she was like, I guess you were in elementary school. I don't really remember. What happens with kids, in my opinion, is, or my observation of this is, they're so happy until they get to public school. And then they start looking around and comparing themselves and like, oh, that one's this way. Why am I not that way? Why am I not that way?
Yeah.
I think it's an important step in life. I'm not saying that shouldn't happen. It would be lovely if we could all live in this bubble, not realizing there's other people around us that impact us in whatever way.
Yeah.
But you came home, and annoying thing about children is when you tuck them in at night is when all the deep stuff comes out. And you are so tired. You're like, really? I just want to go down and watch Friends. It's 8:00. You're supposed to be tired. Why aren't you sleeping? Instead of opening up this big can of worms. So she said, Mom, why am I not like the other girls?
Oh,
Remember this?
And I said, well,
like, are you making this up?
no. I said, well, what do you mean? Well, all they talk about is like kissing a boy, or they talk about dumb stuff that I'm not interested in. I like what the boys are talking about more. And I said, well, everybody's different. You just haven't met the people who are like you.
Oh.
And then I ended up having some really great girlfriends, and it was all fine. Like I made lots of friends that were women, and it was all, well, children. They're not women.
I met 30-year-old women when I was 8.
Child.
You were annoyed with the girls that did the sleepovers and all they talked about were boys.
Yeah, I didn't
That
like
just
that.
bored the heck out of you.
I was like, why aren't we talking about dinosaurs?
No.
When she was 4, she loved dinosaurs. So we put on this TV show, like, I don't know, National Geographic or something about what happened to the dinosaurs. And I just want to preface this. I did not raise my kids religious. So they
Okay.
know about religion, but I didn't raise them religious. I was raised religious, but so it's just the 3 of us watching this program. Your little sister couldn't care less, but she was 2, so
Yeah.
you know. And after the whole thing gets going, Emily turns to me, and my husband's in the room too, and she says, I don't get it. Where'd the people come from? You weren't here during the dinosaurs. Where are the people? And I thought, well, that's a deep question for a 4-year-old. How do I answer this one? Do I go at and Eve? You know, like, do we just talk about evolution? Like,
Yeah, what'd you say?
I don't even remember. I think I did evolution
Probably
because that's how I was taught.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. That's wild. So like, okay, so you were 4 when your sibling came onto the scene? No, you were
I was actually 2 when my sister.
Yeah, she didn't like it.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
How about you? Like, how far apart are you in age from your
1 year.
1 year. That's close.
That's
yeah.
close. Well, they're 2 school years apart and like 22 months apart.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Emily has asked me several times why I had more. I think you would have loved to have been an only.
Oh, maybe. I do like attention.
She's like, yeah.
Oh, I love my sister.
I have to tell you, I was very big on birth order. If you've ever read up on birth order, it's almost impossible not to avoid it. So we had Emily, then Abby, and I really didn't want to go for a third because I didn't want Abby to be this middle kid. I read so much about it.
Yeah.
But we tried for third. So we did go.
I was just saying, did you get Allison a shirt? It's like, I would have been an abortion.
You know what?
I would have been aborted.
No, we were all planned. But we've talked about that. I mean, I didn't want her to feel bad about herself.
Yeah.
But I said, it's something we thought about. And we tried really hard to not fall into this birth order trap. So birth order trap is the following. The first one, because they're the first, they relate up to the adults, right? There is no child to relate to. So they relate to the adults. And we place a lot of expectation on the firstborn. We're all hovering, like, you're going to be everything for us.
Yeah, she's a little helicopter mom.
Right. Like, you're going to solve everything. You're our everything. You're our project. We're going to do it for you. Like, she was the center of our world. I didn't even leave her with babysitters. I would bring my mother-in-law on the trip with us and put them up.
Wow. Poor Nani.
So, like, but you got to go a lot of nice places, So anyhow, like, we adored you. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Adored. Notice it's in the past tense.
No. Physically and emotionally impossible to adore the firstborn once the secondborn comes along.
Got it.
Because now you're splitting your time.
Got it.
And the kid is completely different. Anything that worked with the first one doesn't work with the second one, because the second one's braver. The second one doesn't follow the rules because she sees nothing really happens if you don't follow the rules.
Yeah.
Like, and then the first one's like, what the heck? That one didn't follow the rules. When I follow the rules, I get punished. That one didn't follow the rules. Sometimes we don't see it.
Yeah.
Right? So you cannot avoid that dynamic.
Yeah.
And then the third one did anything she wanted.
It's true.
It's absolutely true.
Yeah, Allison did whatever she wanted.
I didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way, Emily? Like, do you relate to that? Like,
yeah, oh, definitely. Especially when I was a kid. I feel like now I relate to a lot less because I'm independent, but for sure, I have so many memories of like times where Abby would just like do something. That Abby's the middle child. And so she would do something. I'd be like, Mom, Abby did this. My mom's like, stop fighting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah. And you're like,
Yeah, like we don't care what happened. Just stop yelling about it.
You were the police.
Yeah, I was a little cop.
She was a little.
I was a little piggy. I was just walking around.
Well,
being like,
but I get it because I'm an oldest.
Yeah,
so
you're
I
an
totally
oldest.
get it. And it is unfair. And when Abby was an infant, you know, you're nursing, and Emily is a smart person, and she was a very bright child, and she noticed right away that she had all my attention if Abby was sleeping. So she'd always come up to me and she'd go, Abby, go night night.
It's so terrifying. It sounds like I'm gonna kill her. Like,
You just wanted, like, I would.
Abby, go night night now.
And I said we adored you. Like, you, honestly, you could see like 100 pictures of Emily. Then and that happens too, right? So Abby comes along, and when we bring Abby home, it's not about bringing Abby home. It's like about, Emily, look what we got you.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way, Amber? Like as a younger child, did you feel like your older sister was kind of like your police officer, or like you were, I don't know.
I always wanted to be her friend, and she wanted me to go away.
Yes, because you should be in bed, so she can have all the time.
Yeah,
That's why.
Exactly. We're much closer now, like for sure.
That's good.
Was it
Yeah.
hard growing up with like, what was it like having, I mean, because our household was mostly girls too, which we loved. And like, what was it like growing up with two other girls and like,
I think it was good. I think I liked having, I mean, we all did the same hobby. So we all did dance. I know you, like, you're a dancer, right? You do dance stuff. Yeah, I love dance.
yeah.
So the three of us all grew up doing dance. So I do feel like we spent a lot of time together in the dance studio. And so that was fun, but it also led to so much conflict, because when you're literally spending all of your fun time, like all your hobby time with your sisters, and then all of your living time is also with your sisters, it's just too much.
Yeah.
And there's also a lot of I think Abby and I had more competition between the two of us, because we were kind of in all the same classes, and like we're just very different people. And so like even today, like Abby and I are like on better terms now, but we're just very different people. I think she would say the same thing about me. Like we like to do different things. We like to spend
Your values
are super different. Like I don't even know. Like I would love to eat like a $2 hot dog for dinner, and Abby kind of wants to have like a meal, you know what I mean? Like
A meal.
Yeah, it's like little things like that.
She likes a $2.
That is true. She like a $2 hot dog sometimes.
My kid likes hot dogs.
She'd actually, I forgot. Hot dogs are like, that was a bad example. Hot dogs are her favorite. But yeah, so I think that just led to a lot of tension plus Abby and I shared a room until I was making, and Abby's very controlling in particular. So that also was pretty bad.
Okay, I had a real weird moment with her when she was little.
Okay, let's talk about Abby. Yeah.
So this is about being a parent. So again, it's nighttime. I go in there. Her bed was like a twin bed, right? So it faced the middle of the room or faced the wall. And she was facing the middle of the room. And she said, I get to sleep this way tonight. And I said, what, you have rules about the way you sleep? I didn't know any of this. And she said, well, it's a Friday. It doesn't matter if I get up in time for school.
What?
I said, oh, and she said, and when you leave the light on, I don't see people. I go,
No.
what's going on here?
Amber's like, no.
I was like, whoa. I go down, I go, Chuck, we might have an issue with that one. There's something going on.
She's seeing people.
It just turned out she had these rituals, because it turns out she's got severe anxiety. But that was my first like instinct, like, oh, there might be something going on that a professional needs to take a look at.
Yeah.
Because
and lo and behold, we all have anxiety.
Right. But I mean, so she had like made all this whole world to control. That's why you said control, to control all this anxiety.
Oh.
She had developed all these rituals and rules that she was living by. And you probably interrupted some of them.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you remember that big fight when you told
I'm sure I remember.
Yeah, well, she was me to clean my room. She's like, clean your room. And I really love books, and I loved books as a kid. And so I spent pretty much the entire day organizing the bookshelf. And then I made all of our beds, made my bed, and I made Abby's bed. and I put our stuffed animals on the beds, and I made like I just made it really pretty. Like I
Yeah.
cleaned the entire
What
room.
you thought was pretty.
Yeah. And then Abby came in and was so upset. She threw all the stuffed animals off the bed, threw the books at me,
Yeah.
and
They
then
were probably people she saw at night.
yeah, and then you came upstairs and you were like, "Why isn't the room clean?" You didn't clean the room.
No.
I was like, "I cleaned the whole room."
What a mean mom.
No, it was
What
fighting. We were also fighting.
We
so
need like a ring central so I could have
that would have
been
been.
spying on you.
I don't like that
Nanny
parents
cam.
do that. I don't.
know.
There's so many parents now that have cameras like in their house. Like, well, I don't know if you see those TikToks, Amber, where it's like kids in high school being like me dodging the camera so I can like go sneak
Really?
out. Yeah, parents are like have cameras in their home, and I just feel like that's too much. That feels like Black Mirror.
You
You know,
thought I
like,
was hovering.
I know. Like you didn't have the tools they had. I bet
You didn't have the tool.
you had.
Hey,
those
I did
tools.
have a tool that I never could figure out how to use.
What was that?
That on the phone where you can track.
You were trying to track us?
I knew moms that were tracking kids.
Well, how old was I?
Well, in college.
You were trying to track me?
No,
in college?
I didn't. I knew moms doing it. I knew moms that were doing it.
Oh my God.
And it would be like,
Name names. No, don't.
They would be
Maybe-
like, what do I do? She said she was in the library and she's really in a bar. And I was like, off because,
Yeah.
you know,
Didn't you go to bars in college?
I mean, part of going to college is learning that balance.
Yeah.
I actually told her younger sister is a senior at Dayton. She's had a crappy 2 years, more than just COVID,
Yeah.
health issues. And I said to her, I said, here's the deal. I don't care what your grade point is. Just graduate. I want
Yeah.
you to get the degree, but you are past due the time to have a fun college year. So
Yeah.
have a fun college year. She took me at my word because dad's credit card has been used about 1,000 times. She just spent $30 at Timothy.
Oh my God.
She's at Milano's. Looks like she spent
No.
$20 there.
Probably spent all her summer job
Arrow-
money.
She's, oh no, she's using his credit card.
Why isn't she using hers? Okay, whatever. She's allowed to have a fun year. She spent 2 years at home during COVID. She did earn it.
She earned it.
So what did you think when Emily became a comedian? Like, did you always know that she was gonna?
Okay, I thought about this one today. I have a good answer.
Oh God.
Okay, so first of all, Emily was not an outgoing person. Like she was a pretty serious kid.
I'm pretty shy, I feel like.
You
When you
were
get to know me, I'm
very
very like I'm myself, but when I don't know you, I don't talk to you.
No, I mean you
Like,
were a very. I
yeah.
think actually now that I look back on it, I think you used to observe.
Hmm.
So, for example, did you do Gymboree when you were a kid? Did your parents?
I
do
didn't.
Gymboree? So Gymboree was like a parent-child get to like class where you'd sing songs and they'd do parachute stuff and tunnel stuff. And I met like Emily's childhood best friend,
Yeah.
the mom, and we met at this Gymboree. And her friend was always a big smiley kind of, fun little.
Yeah.
Oh, she is. She's a smiley, fun person.
Yeah.
Just a really lighthearted kind of person. And Emily would sit there serious. staring. And that's the first time you compare your kid, right? And so a couple of the parents were, she doesn't look like she likes it here. And it wasn't just Patty, it was other people.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I think she's just watching everybody like, this is what other people are doing. Like, it's a frickin' parachute. And then like my dad used to visit us a lot, and he and I would take Emily to restaurants, and there's this Chinese restaurant with a fish tank, and you used to stare at those fish, and my dad would be, I can't wait till she can talk. I want to know what she's thinking.
Oh.
But around age 4, we like Broadway. We just love musicals and stuff. And one of Chuck's cousins was performing in Wizard of Oz. So Chuck took her to see Wizard of Oz and then bought the soundtrack. And Emily has a phenomenal memory, memorized the whole soundtrack. Meanwhile,
I'm not good at singing, by the way.
but
You're like, let me clear that up.
you
Yeah.
with your list. She had like Emily's seen videos. She's like, did you know I talked like a New Yorker?
Yeah, like a
I'm
little Boston accent.
yeah,
I was like very like
swapping the W's and the
Yeah.
R's.
I was very like whoa, whoa, whoa. I think Sabine has a joke like that. Like,
Yeah.
why do all kids have a Boston? I'm like, that was totally me.
You-
Like, I was, yeah,
We didn't know.
yeah.
So we had a family thing. My grandmother passed away, and my dad has like siblings and cousins and all this stuff. They were all out there for the funeral, and for some reason there was a stage in
Oh,
the basement of
God.
the church. And Emily gets up there and starts performing and singing the whole soundtrack.
At the funeral?
They loved it.
They loved it.
I mean, these were people in a church basement having, coffee and cake.
Yeah.
And it's my dad's family who nobody has any talent
This
at all.
great grandma Spears funeral?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I'm just thinking of you being like, ding dong, the witch, and then being like,
Oh, but she
Okay.
also knew the speaking parts.
So funny.
in between the songs, she'd start doing the speaking parts. Well, where did he go? I don't know where he went. And then she start marching and singing. So that was my first, like, wow, she really enjoys people. She just enjoys music and singing. So
yeah.
we did the whole dance thing, and of course there's some performance with dance, but
It's like some performance.
but senior year in high school.
You're literally on stage all the time.
Senior year in high school, she was very busy, right? As most kids are, taking classes, doing leadership stuff, all the stuff to get into college. And she was captain of her pom squad. And part of the responsibility of that is there are these banquets and you have to speak and present awards, and you're the captain. So the parents and all the other family members are out there. And after she spoke, you made people laugh. And all these parents came up to us and they're like, she's really good. Like, she was really entertaining. Did you know this about Emily? And we're like, no.
Oh.
We have never seen this side of Emily. She was she's super comfortable in front of people. And I'm the kind who's sweating just saying, hi, welcome to the banquet. And then I have to get off stage. I've got flop sweat. I have to think of what clothes to wear.
The pasta is over there.
Yeah.
Help yourself to see
Now it's time for the seniors to eat. Oh my God, I don't want to do that. So it was so foreign to me. Her father's a little more outgoing in that way.
Yeah, Dad's a little ham.
Oh,
Dad,
he is.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
loves talk. That's probably where I get that part from.
But in terms of Emily being a comedian, she goes to school and we never hear from her. Like, never hear from her.
Like, no.
They always send me texts like, "Are you alive?" I'm like, "Yeah."
No, it got worse. I
Oh.
said to your sisters, because I'm like, do you see her on that Snapchat or anything? Like, I just
Oh.
still living. We were trying to give you your freedom, but I kind of feel like we should have hovered a little bit more. Senior year, she's down there, William and Mary, and I have to admit, I was kind of rough on Emily. So I was in finance and accounting. When your senior year, you're like interviewing on campus. There's job fairs all the time.
Oh yeah, I didn't have any jobs lined up after
But
college.
she's
Hell yeah.
well, she was biology and English. I kind of think it's different for biology and English anyway, where you're going to go after senior year. It's not.
I could have looked more. I was just like, I want to spend time with my
But
friends.
it's not corporate America, right? So
No, yeah. People
corporate
aren't like-
America, you're just in the business school. Everybody's doing it. So you're going to the job fairs, you're doing the interviews. I didn't get a job at college either. I had 11 declines. So I
Yay!
mean,
That's
the best interview.
We
Could have
love-
been all that flop sweat. I don't know.
the hardest part. You got to submit.
So anyhow, I'm so innocent. I start calling her like, Emily, have you had any interviews? No, Mom. Well, are there any job fairs? Not my major doesn't do that, Mom. Well, do you need like professional wear? Or, like, what are you going to wear if you do get an interview? Like, I didn't buy her any nice clothes. Like, usually you've got to get a suit or like a briefcase or something. Who knows? I
A
didn't know.
briefcase.
So like,
Yeah, brief-
she goes, Mom, I'm not in that kind of major.
yeah.
So now I'm on Facebook
Oh my God.
and I see this post come out. It's like it was Newport Beach. That
Newport
comedy
News.
club where you used
Have
to
you ever
go.
done stand up in like Newport News, Virginia at all?
No.
Okay, there's a comedy club there called Kazi's Comedy Club.
Okay.
And it's kind of like it's a bar and there's like a smoking section.
Oh,
And-
nice.
But they have like a great shows there and it's really fun. But yeah, it's kind of like it's like Richmond is kind of a bigger scene and Virginia Beach is a bigger scene, but there is this little, it's kind of like the Comedy Shrine, but
Okay.
Car is a way bigger city than Newport News. But
So
yeah.
I see this posting and it's got a picture of Emily and it's like, come see our local comedians. I'm like, local comedians? So now I'm like, no wonder she's not interviewing. So I did like a comment, and I'm like, You attending or performing?
With my picture in the thing. Yeah.
And I got a 1-word response: performing. Apparently, we'd been doing it for a year at this time. You had started in DC during your internship and never told us.
Yeah, I did an internship in DC, and there's this like bar that has a comedy thing in the basement called the Big Hunt. And I was just like out drinking with my friends, and we went downstairs and there was like an open mic happening. And everyone was just bombing. And I was like, I've been thinking about doing it because a lot of my friends in college did comedy. And so I've been like, and I was like a tour guide, and I like.
Well, William and Mary's big on improv for sure.
There's like a lot of like comedians, like people just love doing funny, like creative things there. And so I was like, oh, if this is what stand-up is, if you could just go up and like be bad, like I think I could do that. Yeah, like I think I could do better than that guy who just talked to silence for like 4 minutes.
So was he talking about how fat he is and how nobody wanted to be his wife or whatever?
Yeah, one of the guys.
I'm so sick of that comedy. I'm telling you, that's like, you think you're original? No.
Yeah, it's hard to watch.
For you guys. Yeah. There's a new
I need
critic.
thoughtful comedy.
Yeah. But yeah, so then I talked to the guy who was running the microphones, and I was like, oh, do you guys have like other places where you could do this? And he gave me his business card, and I had to like sign up for a slot, and he was like, bring your friends. Like it was like such a like
bring your friends, we'll buy them free drinks.
Yeah, it was such
That'll
a
get us some more guys.
Yeah, I did
Yep.
5 minutes, and it was like pretty bad, but it was in front of like I brought like my friends and they brought their friends. It was like 11 girls at the front table. It's like a relatively empty bar, and I went on at 11:45. So like they just kept me like they kept pushing me to the end of the list, so like the audience would stay, you know.
Oh
Just,
yeah.
like, the audience.
Would they give you 3 minutes?
I got 5 minutes. And it was not bad, but like my friends liked it. But like I remember afterwards, one of the comedians was like, "You're too theatrical." I'm like, whatever.
You
but
do
as
move a lot.
Yeah, but back
But
then
I
I was
that.
like, oh my God, I'm too theatrical. I'm never, you know what I mean? But I had so much.
They never saw you at 4.
No, they see funeral.
You do funerals.
I
really
could do
well.
theater. If you want theater, I'll give you theater. Don't patronize me. But it was fun. And then I did, our school had like a comedy stand-up thing. They did something called Comedy Brew, where they would have like a few students who just do stand-up sets. So I did like a 15-minute set, and it went really well. And then one of my friends who did that with me, she was like, oh, there's a comedy club 45 minutes away from our campus. Like she had a car. And so we drove there, and we both like, we did some sets, we had fun. And it ended up being like a competition night, which we didn't know. And so they like gave people show sets from that one stand-up set. So they ended up giving me like a little show slot. So it was like, I felt so lucky. It was like, oh, cool. I've been on stage like 4 times, and now I'm on a show. Like I felt like hot shit, you know?
Yeah.
Don't be self-deprecating.
I know, but it was
Right.
a lot of people don't get those great. I just got really like fortunate. Like we had no idea what was going on. But yes, that was really fun. So then I ended up going to like that place a lot with her, and we both had so much fun doing it. I love
Didn't you do like
Kazi's.
you did do something where you were helping vets learn how to do comedy?
Oh yeah, have you heard of ASAP? It's called Armed Services Arts Partnership, and it's actually started.
That was cool.
It is cool, yeah. So basically, it's an organization that was started by this guy who went to my college, and it works with veterans. And so basically, like veterans can come and they can join a stand-up class, and then they write sets. They learn how to like process their trauma, and they talk about, a lot of them talk about being in the military or being like in the Navy, whatever. And it's really fun. Like I've gone to some of their shows, and they say these like really like inside baseball jokes that I don't understand, and the entire crowd is just like laughing because they're all military people who get it. So it's
you were close to Virginia Beach.
Yeah, we're really close to a lot of like Navy stuff, but it was so fun. And so it's still going on today. They have this, it's like ASAP. They have stuff in New York. I think they have in a few other states. They have some programs.
You taught there?
I was like a volunteer. So I would just like go there, and I would like me and some other people would like listen to their sets, and we would just like be people who would like laugh or give them sort of feedback. And we just like helped like run tables or whatever, like at the shows. But I only did that for a few, I think even like half a semester I helped out, because I just didn't know about it or didn't get involved with it until really late into college. So I didn't do, a lot of people did a lot more.
I do bring that up because in this family, we've always used comedy to help, right? I mean, that's how I got through this whole COVID lockdown. I mean, comedy for me has always been the way I like to cope. I like to watch I don't always like to watch the serious stuff. I want to watch something stupid and funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Emily and I have bonded with comedy as we did with
Yeah.
Broadway, right? So like when the comedians would come to town at the Chicago Theater, the two of us would go get some tickets and go watch or whatever. So
It was really
we've had our
fun.
favorites and we've had ones that we didn't really like so much. Or
Oh yeah.
but for the most part, I mean, we're lucky to live in Chicago because we do get to see some of the greater comedians. I tell Emily I was fresh out of college in the 80s dating.
Oh yeah, mom has a.
One of my favorite dates ever with Jim Lustman.
If he's
Uh-oh.
out there, my mom's still taken, but
Honorable mention.
A friend. And anyway, we ended up going to, I can't even name the place, but one of the comedy shops in Chicago area, and we saw Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, that's cool.
was he like big at that point or no?
He was
before,
on his way. It was before
Yeah.
the show, before
Wow.
this.
It was like early Jerry, like
But
young,
that's the kind of humor I always like.
young Jared.
I
Yeah.
don't really like the down and dirty kind of sex humor.
She hasn't heard half of my set.
I
So,
know.
I
yeah.
was about to. Have you heard Emily?
Yeah. She's heard some of my set. She doesn't like some of my jokes, but she
It's
tells
on
me.
you. It's on you.
I do like that my mom, she's always told me when I'm bad, or she's always
yeah.
tells me she doesn't like something. Like I remember, you probably remember this too. I got off stage crying because it was a 4-person debt. Was it called a quartet or whatever?
Yeah.
There's people dancing and everyone else did serious faces. And I smiled the whole time. And I was like, and I got off stage and like, our dance teacher was like, why are you smiling? And I started crying. I was like, Mom, I ruined the whole dance. And she's like, yeah, you look dumb.
I didn't say
You
that.
did. You did. You said you look dumb. Why did you do that?
Wow, that I had to have been on something.
Well,
I
it was
can't-
Trying to be on
It's
something.
like the end of the day at a dance competition. So we were all exhausted.
yeah.
But I was like, did I ruin the whole dance? And you said you might have. Like,
Can we talk dance comp? Oh my
we can't.
gosh.
Oh my God. I have a new joke about dance competitions that you haven't heard yet. It doesn't always work. Amber heard it at
The toilet one?
the toilet one.
I
Yeah.
love that joke.
Thank you. Sometimes that doesn't work.
Why?
Because people don't like it. But
All I know is this: when you have 3 daughters in competition, I used to have 50 costumes to keep track of.
jeez.
50 costumes. They were just like, why don't you let your child take care of her own stuff? Are you kidding
She's
me?
very
Right.
controlled. Yeah.
You know, you want them in the same earrings. Those babies go flying. You think they're gonna find those earrings? They're switching clothes to get back on stage.
And that stuff's expensive.
Yeah. I remember like a big thing with dance is they want you to sew your own point shoes.
Ugh.
And my mom was like, we just spent what is it, like sometimes $80, $100
Yeah, on point shoes.
on a pair of point shoes that's supposed to last you for a while. And like
the point shoes last, I was told 14 weeks.
not when we dance on
I
them.
know.
We were not good. We did not.
You're just like,
You were pretty good on point.
I was, but we didn't like sometimes.
No,
like,
you weren't like in Nutcracker. where
yeah,
you
like
had to get 'em,
ballerinas
yeah.
will go through like a pair of point shoes in a month or less sometimes. But like for us, it would last us probably half the year.
Boy, if I
nice.
Yeah, and you want the money back.
I'd have a lake come right now.
But she would never let us like sew the ribbons on because you were like, I just spent money on these
I
shoes.
could barely sew those ribbons myself.
Yeah, you're like, you're not going to sew them on and ruin the
So
shoes.
difficult.
Right.
We're all like, it's part of the process. Real dancers sew their own point shoes.
Yeah, those people got a lot of my money.
Those people got a lot of money.
My mom was also danced. My mom also did.
Amazing.
Don't forget, your dad did a partner dance with you.
Yeah, I did a partner dance with my dad. My mom learned how to tap dance.
I did. Well, marginally.
You did it. You performed. You got platinum. She got a good score.
It was not a solo.
No, it was a group.
One woman who could really tap, and we all looked at her feet. Like
Hey, if it works, it works.
Well, I will say the only thing I got from that experience is I do get why people perform. We
Yeah.
had a big roar of applause that sounded like a roar of applause to me.
Yeah,
And I could see how that could really hook somebody.
yeah. It's addictive. You know.
What was the moment, Emily, where you were like, okay, I want to do this as a living. I'm going to tell my parents, like, this is the route I'm taking.
I haven't gotten to that moment.
No, I haven't. Because I still have like not a real job. Every job's a real job. But I still have like a day job
Okay.
that I really like. If my boss is listening, thank you for the opportunity to work. I enjoy having a job. But I mean, I think my mom and dad have realized that I'm pretty serious about comedy because when I was living at home for a bit when I was working that temp job, and then before I moved to Chicago, and I was like every night I would be at Mike's in the suburbs. And so I would say stuff like, oh, I want to get a new job. And you and dad would be like, well, you're using your time to go to open mics. You're not using your time to apply to a new job. Like, clearly you don't care about getting a different job. But I think I really like it. I mean, you guys have seen that I put a lot of work into it. And so it's pretty obvious that I care about it, right?
Well,
She's thinking.
I mean, to know my, what I know of Emily, maybe she doesn't know this about herself, but you're really an achiever. Like, Emily is more about,
Oh, don't I know it? That's one of my issues in therapy.
you're more about achieving the goal. So
And
like,
enjoying the
then
journey.
no.
Okay.
So like, a good example was you wanted to be captain. You wanted to be captain. I want to be captain. I want to be captain. Because you set that in your mind as what an accomplishment to be captain of Poms.
Yeah.
Then you got the job and you're like, well, I got the job. I don't really want to do it, you know? So, but people are like that. So I think with comedy, which is perfect about this, it's almost like the golfer who's never going to have a perfect score of 18 hole-in-ones.
Yeah.
This is a constant challenge, and you love that challenge.
That's a good point. Yeah. There's
so it's like a perfect fit for you. Like, you're never gonna be the perfect comedian. There's always a joke that doesn't work, or or like, I could tweak it, or I could try it this way, or I could try it.
It reminds me of there's that documentary about Gary Shandling, which honestly I haven't watched the whole thing, but
Shandling was good.
He's really good. And he has this quote where he says his whole goal was to do a set on, I think it was Letterman, or maybe it was Johnny Carson. My brain doesn't remember, but he was like, I want to do this late night set.
Carson.
I think it was Carson. He's like, it was Carson. Cause he's like, I want to do a set on Carson,
asked you to
and I want to sit down with him.
Yeah.
And so that was his whole goal in comedy. And I guess after he reached that goal, he like got off stage and he cried because he was like,
now what do I do?
Now that he's like, was that it?
Yeah.
Like, was that? And then he just kept working for more. I should probably watch the whole documentary so I get more context, but I know that quote and I think about it a lot. Yeah.
Well, and the other one was, so back to her senior year in college, where we're realizing, wow, she's not going into corporate America. And
what are you thinking about?
I don't know.
She's holding back some.
I don't know what I was thinking.
You lost your brain? She hasn't had all of her Starbucks yet.
That she's not going into corporate America? You realize that?
But I'm just having a different journey.
She had done her summer internship at another passion of Emily's is the environment, right? So she had done her and writing, and she had done a summer internship in DC at the wildlife. What is that one?
Yeah, it was like a volunteer internship with Fish and Wildlife.
And Wildlife. And I said, a lot of people can turn an internship into a job. Why don't you talk to them, see if they're hiring, whatever. And she said, Mom, I already did that. Oh. So, and kind of the same thing with Poms, she goes to college. Maybe they weren't such a great dance squad. And I was like, wow, you could really do something with it. I kind of assumed she still loved dancing.
I did other dance. I think I was done with
But you said, I'm not doing Poms. I did it already. And so that was kind of where I'm getting with this. Oh, for Emily, once she's done it, she's on to the next thing. Like, I don't want to spend my life doing the same thing over and over again. I want to try something new.
Yeah.
So that to me.
But that's true. Stand-up does let you try something new every single day.
Right. You're never going to reach like the peak, really.
Well, no. A new audience.
Yeah.
Right? Typically, you're going to have a new audience.
New audience, different jokes, different
whole
tags.
new situation every time you're doing it.
Right. So what, now that this is, sampling time, and I feel like you guys are pretty open with each other, but I always like to give the guests this opportunity, but what would you like each other to know forever?
Forever?
Forever.
Well, Mommy, I love you so much. And I'm very grateful for all the sacrifices you've made in your life to take care of me. I think you are. She always wants to be my friend. And I think you are my friend. I feel very fortunate that you were my mom. And I don't want any other mommy. I didn't want any other mom ever.
Oh, I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Top that, bitch. No.
Well, I don't love you better than your sisters. No, I'm kidding. You're the best Emily ever.
Thanks.
No, I love Emily. What I want you to know forever. Oh, um, that I'm there. I am your biggest fan.
Aww.
I love you, and any decision you make, I'm always going to back you up on it. And I'm always going to be there when, to wipe the tears
Aww.
if anything goes wrong.
That's so sweet. Thanks, Mommy. I love you. Aww.
Sweet angels. Okay. And then my last question, and this is going to be like a two-parter for you, Kelly, because I feel like we need this as me and listeners. So the question I always ask is, what is your universal mama says advice, whether that's to kids or other parents? But before that, can you also give like your top financial advice?
I love that, Amber.
Top financial advice.
I need to do the other one. Start finance and do.
Well, I think we've touched on that. The FU money, right?
That's your biggest.
Well, it is, because everybody should have, in my mind nowadays, a good 6 months living expenses easily accessible.
That should be the goal.
I think 6 months is a minimum.
Yeah.
Easily accessible.
That's hard for a lot of people.
It is very hard for a lot of people. It
Yeah.
is. I know it is. I've been there. I've
Yeah.
been to the point where I had $14 in my checking account and rent was due the next day. And if if they fire me tomorrow, I'm not able to pay this rent.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you're just going to have to figure out what it is you need for each month and try to have 6 months set aside. Easily accessible, not like in a CD or in some form that you couldn't convert it
Like in a
quickly.
stock or like in a.
You would.
like in
This
a
would be like
building?
a cash stash or
Oh,
something.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. And then the other mom advice, like what I would say, you mean like what I would say to a child or what I would say to another mother?
Either one or both. I'm down for all advice.
I think, you know what? I think when
You're like, I need it.
I think when you have the children, right? I'm not going to say people are hardwired, because that assumes no one can improve or change or anything like that. But there are certain things that are, that's just who the kid was when they came out. You could try to influence as much as you want, and it could be even just hurtful, right? At some point, you have to have a level of respect and acceptance for the person that you gave birth to and is your child. And if you want them in your life and you want to have any sort of relationship, you just have to accept who they are and what decisions they're making. And like I said, when you love somebody, you're their fan and you're their support. Maybe they're making a decision you wouldn't make. Hard to watch them, run into that train. If you can just be there and not say, I told you so, but that didn't work out the way you wanted it to, did you? Let's try this way.
Yeah.
The advice.
That's great advice. Thank you so much. That's amazing. And then one last thing, Emily, if you want to plug where people can find your comedy.
Oh yeah. Follow me at Not a Mustard Fan on Instagram and also on TikTok. Big fan of TikTok. And then you could see me every Thursday at Still Not Friday at Two Brothers Roundhouse in Aurora. It's a weekly show out in Illinois. If you're in Illinois, come out. It's always fun. Yeah.
Good
Beautiful.
beer.
Good beer. Great beer. Great
They
food.
make their own beer.
They do make their own beers. So,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Well, this has been so much fun. I'm so glad I got to meet you, Kelly. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you. This was fun. A fun chat.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it. And this will be coming out soon, so get ready. I don't know why that was so ominous.
Get prepared. It was so fun, Amber. This is so cool. I listened to some of them on my way out here and I was like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah, it's really nice to see like where people I admire and really like where they come from, because the mom is always dope. The moms don't get enough.
Dope.
You're dope, girl. You guys don't get enough credit. So I'm grateful for you. Both
Oh,
of
this is
you.
a fun way to spend a Saturday. I'll tell
Yeah,
you
a little
that.
Saturday morning chat. Yay.
Awesome. Well, you girls have an amazing day, and go tell your dad that we talked a little bit about him, I guess.
Oh, for sure. It's always what's best. Yeah.
All right, bye, ladies.
All right,
Bye,
see ya.
thank you.
Bye. Thanks,
Bye.
Amber.
Bye.
Bye.